My father, I believe he was in the 522, the artillery unit. He never talked about it, see, he never told me that that's what he did. He just didn't want to talk about World War II. I'm very proud that the last generation gave everybody the opportunity to be what we are today, you know, and I still reflect on that and am very proud of that, yeah.
Lenn Sakata is a third-generation Japanese-American from Honolulu. Sakata was a member of the Baltimore Orioles' 1983 World Series championship team and the first player from Hawaii to play in the World Series.
My interest in baseball really was derived from, you know, my uncle, Jack Lodger, was playing in Japan when I was very young, and so when he came home, he stayed with another uncle and would leave his equipment behind. So at a very young age, like 3, 4, 5, I was already, you know, associating myself with baseball by picking up bats and balls and gloves.
After playing baseball at Kalani High School and Gonzaga University, Sakata signed with the Milwaukee Brewers in 1974. Sakata was one of the first Asian Americans to play Major League Baseball.
But it was difficult for us, especially, you know, being a minority. And that was the way the game, you know, was, and that's the thing we had to accept, you know. But it was a level playing field on the field. I think that was what was most important.
You know, Lenny is like the Jackie Robinson of, you know, for Hawaii players, especially, you know, Asian players. He paved the way for a lot of people after him to try to be like, you know, try to play in the big leagues and play in the World Series. So that was special.
And then in the bottom of the 10th, with 2 men on and the game tied, who else but Lenn Sakata delivered the big blow, bringing victory for the little guys.
Here's the 1-1. Fly ball down the left field line, and it is gone! Home run! Lenn Sakata! And the Orioles win this game on a Lenn Sakata home run to left. Memorial Stadium is going crazy.
It's as if we were there with him. And we have a lot of friends that, again, idolize Lenny. At one time, Lenny was considered the best defensive second baseman in the big leagues. So he got to the highest level.
First got to meet Lenny when I was playing at the University of Hawaii, and he came out to help us out with some practices, and he actually coached us.
And I've always said Lenny played a big part in that building of that program, because Hawaii in the 70s and 80s were a national power. And I thought Lenny played a big part in getting us there.
You know, it's not just physicality that allows you to succeed, it's a skill game, and so you have to know how to play it.
After an 11-year career in the major leagues, he coached in Japan and California, eventually becoming the winningest manager in the history of minor league baseball's California League.
My initial thing of going to college was to become a coach. So as I got better, improved, and I became good enough to play, I decided to go that route first. And then when it came time to retire, I obviously wanted to stay in the game because I love baseball.
After his playing career was over and started coaching professionally, he really started working with a lot of young players in the community.
He definitely took me under his wing coming out of high school. He'd always take us all out to Kahala Field, and we'd all practice. And it would range from high schoolers to college to local professional players.
And he's never asked for compensation. On several occasions I told him maybe you should get paid for these things, but he's never asked for compensation, never looks for accolades.
He wants to see local players succeed. I mean, he's local born, so he wants, you know, people from Hawaii to succeed. He was the manager of the San Jose Giants, and I was called up. And I remember the first game I got there, I got to the dugout, and he was like, "Rick, you're in next inning." So I had to go and warm up real quick, you know, came back out there and went out on the mound, and then when he came out to take me out of the game, it was just proud seeing him walking out, and I mean, it is something I'll never forget.
JCCH is honoring Lenn Sakata for being a pioneer as both a player and a manager. And what's really fascinating about him is he's never really forgotten Hawaii. He was always held up as an example. So even though I didn't know him personally, you know, his story taught us what was possible.
And if you go out and work hard and try to become good and, you know, leave no stone unturned, then you have possibilities of making it.